And everyone see me now. My goodness, we started out so well. We had technical issues. I'm not sure if you guys could hear me or see me or if I'm coming to you live or not. So let's get a verification. It's okay. Things happen, technical difficulties happen, so I'm going to get confirmation. I see folks are there. I apologize. We had technical difficulties, and so I'm checking my phone right now because I want to make sure that that we're on, that you guys can see me. We had a power outage, and so we're checking in. If you guys are in the chat and you can see us, go ahead and say, you're hearing me. Roberta, thank you, my friend. All right, and now we just have to. So we're on, and you guys have. I love that. Is that semi-country living? Oh my goodness. Okay, 5 by. Okay, I've got that from D. Look at you, D, with military vernacular. Okay, we've got all good from my boss, from my campaign manager, my brother, my friend. All right, we're on. Okay, we're doing this thing. So here we are. Thanks, you guys. I'm not sure if you heard me from the very beginning or not. I don't know if I need to start over or keep it real, but you know what? It is what it is, and I'm just going to summarize. I want to say thank you. You know, we've gone through some adversity. We've gone through some difficult times recently. We've something that pierced me really heavily. Just to attack a person's honor was something new to me. And as a veteran, someone who was willing to fight for and die for his nation in combat, to have someone accuse you of stolen valor and fraud and these things, it's nothing easy to navigate, but we did it. And I prayed on it strongly, and I had so much support surround me, so many of you out there that just kept sending prayers, sending messages, sending support. And here we are, and I have to tell you, I feel good. I feel good as I should, and I'm not trying to rhyme intentionally, but there was a moment where on the inside, I was just like, I said earlier, I'm not sure if you guys heard me, I just felt like, man, I'm enraged. This is just wrong, and I'm just like, I want vengeance, and I cannot be further from that because I prayed, Lord, please give me that strength. This is not how it should be. This is not how I want to feel. I should be praying for and asking for forgiveness for them and for myself whenever I fall, because that's how we should be. And so I just want to share that with you. Thank you for standing with me, for standing strong, for opening your mind. And for my friends at the Spokane GOP, thank you so much for that amazing video interview. And so if you haven't seen it, my friends, we posted it on Facebook, and it should be on our YouTube channel as well. An interview talking through that whole allegation of stolen valor and fraud, and the reprimand that was never to be released, but someone broke the law and released it, and then we had the state party put it out there, and dealing with that, and we are moving on. But I want you to understand, standing up, standing strong for what you believe in is what we must do. This is what America is all about. This is what we as a people, as citizens of the greatest nation on the planet, this is what we have done well since the birth, well, before the birth of our nation. And I started to talk about, July 4th, Independence Day. And again, because we had technical difficulties, I'm not sure what you guys heard or didn't hear, but I want you to think back to our founders and get strength from our foundation as a nation, that they dared to become traitors and felons when they declared their independence from the British. And they did not listen to the naysayers who said you cannot win. You cannot possibly overcome the challenge of them having so much power, money, resources. There was no way to win, because if they had listened to the naysayers, we would not be the great nation that we are today. And so as you go into July 4th, remember our founders, remember the spirit of America, remember those patriots such as Thomas Paine, who gave those words, "These are the times that try men's souls." The summertime soldiers, right? Those sunshine patriots. We must be winter soldiers. We must hold strong. And so that's what I ask of all of you. We're going to have questions here. We're going to have questions that are come up on the screen. I don't want to sit here and pontificate all night long. But I wanted to share how I was feeling. I'm feeling great. We're doing great in the campaign trail. As many of you know, we were in Seattle. First, we were in Stevens County, Pend Oreille County. Then we went over to King County for Juneteenth, one of my favorite holidays. It's a national holiday where we celebrate the ending of slavery. It's a great story of overcoming. And again, if you think about why I became a Republican, I'm a Reconstruction Republican, really, an Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass Republican. The Republican Party that was never existed. It was the Whig Party, and then out of the Whig Party, these Christians came together and said slavery is evil and it's wrong, and we must do something about it. And they formed the Republican Party to do something about it, and then they did. They founded the party that would eventually abolish slavery. It's an amazing story, and the same party that would bring forward women's rights and civil rights, and hopefully today parents' rights, as I've said over and over again. And so when we think about party, when I was a young man and I turned 18, it was the history of this party is why I became a Republican and stayed a Republican really for most of my life. And I say most of my life because it's not over yet. But I have been, I guess you could say, all of my life. And I want you to think about that now, because the farewell address of President Washington, he warned us of partisanship between Democrats and Republicans and who's good and who's bad. And let's just say we disagree often and at times within the party and between parties. The Democrats just had their convention last week. You know, they brought forward platforms and arguments that I would never support. You know, proposing to defund Israel or to interfere in that regard and not support after the horrors of October 7th. You know, I don't agree with that. But the Democrats have every right to think how they want to think. I mean, and that's why they had their convention. But it's interesting how we have the similar patterns. You know, they isolated Senator Mark Mullet, Democrat Senator Mark Mullet, from that convention. They had this $1 million pay to play. Whoever had the money, they got that front row seat. And, you know, apparently, you know, Bob Ferguson had that front row seat because of the money. But is that what defines what your party stands for? Is it about money? Is it about name brand recognition? Is it about who has the most political power from current elected officials? Or is it really about values, about what you stand for, about what you believe in? And I'm hoping it's the latter, because that is the reason why I'm here. That constitutional republic and the act of self-governance to stand up for what we believe in, to fight for what we love, that's why we're here. And we will not let anyone take that away from us. We will not let anyone discourage us or hold us back from stepping forward and securing a future for our children, for our grandchildren, and for future generations. This is what self-governance is all about. This is how we preserve our constitutional republic. And whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, we should be able to agree upon that. And over the last few days, people have said, well, Semi Bird, you know, you're attacking your own party. You're calling out the chairman of your party and this. I'm speaking from my heart of what I think, what I've seen, how I have felt, how I have been treated. Not a victim, but holding true to my thoughts, my passions, and my beliefs, and speaking truth to what I see and what I observe. That is me self-governing. That is me taking a stand and calling out what needs to be called out. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't apologize for that. But am I a forgiving person? Am I a loving person? Well, absolutely I am. Because we are not here for ourselves. I am not here for me. I am here for we. And I'm not fighting against anyone. I'm fighting for everyone. And that is the difference between, I believe, a statesman and a politician or a career politician. I think a statesman understands that he or she is in service to the people and that he or she must have that foundation of governance which is defined by the Constitution of Washington State and the United States of America, and that our American heritage is rich with tenets of compassion, civility, and human decency. And that's what we must stand upon. We cannot let anyone take that away to say he can be elected. This is about being afraid of Bob Ferguson and not standing for a candidate that we believe emulates our beliefs or will support our constitutional rights, or someone who will bring affordability to our state. We have to stop and think about, what do we want out of this, and who are we as a group, as a people, whether you're a party or not a party, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Do not give up or compromise what you believe in. Please do not do that for the sake of our nation and for the sake of our state. Go with what your heart tells you to do. If your heart says vote for that other candidate, then vote for that other candidate. But don't let anyone discourage you with money or name brand recognition or partisan politics. Go with how your heart tells you. That's my advice. And what do I know, right? I don't know, that ordinary guy. Okay, I'm going to look to the left. And Lynette, thank you. Transparency, that's how I roll. I am who I am. Again, people say, well, never say that you're nothing special. And so I will try not to say that by saying I consider myself just an ordinary person. You know, my wife and I had a play date today. We went to the dump. we loaded up the truck and trailer and we got rid of some extra stuff, and just being together and every second we're together and or with our children, it's just beauty. And so I'm sharing that with you as well. Okay, let's get to some questions and answers, because guys, I will sit here and just talk your ears off. And again, I am so thankful to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the campaign is great because we have a great campaign team. We have beautiful people out there, and with their hearts, they're giving what they can give. And it's not just money. It's sign waving. It's spreading the word. It's social media. It's so much, and it means so much. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is priceless. You know, my friend Victoria and her team did a beautiful video for us. And we put that out. And I told you about the interview that our friends from Spokane County put out. And it's just so many coming together. Okay, let's get to this. So this is from Grayson. Semi-Democrats recently have moved forward with amnesty for unlawful aliens. And we could say unlawful. And, well, no, maybe that's exactly how Grayson meant to say it. Amnesty. Well, no. If you break a law, you should be held accountable to the law. That's just the way it should work. And when you're an undocumented individual or an illegal immigrant in America and you commit a crime, you break the law, you should be held accountable and you should be deported back to your nation that you came from. Because not only did you break the law to get here, you broke the law while being here, and you're clearly not demonstrating that you value what we value by, again, taking away the rights of others, their right to public safety. So this is why I've said on day one, we will declare that we are no longer a sanctuary state in Washington. I am a very compassionate person. My son-in-law, who I love with all my heart, was an illegal immigrant who became a legal immigrant. And he did that. My eldest daughter did that. As a family, they did that, and I'm proud of them. And any support I could ever give, I will give and continue to give. But that was their decision. It was their effort. They made that happen. And Vicente got his citizenship. And I cannot be more proud of him. He, to me, is my son. Vicente has shown and proved that the American dream is possible for anyone if you're willing to work hard for it. And my eldest daughter married well, and my two beautiful grandchildren are a product of that. But he did it legally. Again, first illegally, then yes, he went back across. He got his paperwork together, and then legally came in. And now he's a citizen of the greatest nation on the planet. So, Grayson, no, I support upholding law, enforcing the law. I have compassion, but what I will say is this, as I've said before, You don't invite everyone over to your house for dinner when you cannot even feed your own family. And right now, my family in Washington State, our citizens in Washington State, are struggling. Senior citizens on a fixed income cannot even afford to live in Washington State anymore. Young people graduating high school and or college cannot afford to live in Washington State. That's of great concern. And then we put extra strain in our system. You have an administration, they gave $340 million of federal relief for COVID that should have gone to families, and that money went to illegal immigration. And then you continue to change the law to say, well, now we're going to say if you're undocumented, that you can become a law enforcement officer or you can get a professional license. It's a mindset that is compromising our federal laws and compromising the safety and the security of our state and the economy as well. Let's get our economy so that we can take care of our own people. The cost of living in Washington State is too high. We should be talking about that. We should be bringing those resources to our own citizens, people living at or below the poverty line, bringing in trades, training, certification programs to lift these people up out of poverty and despair and breaking that generational poverty. There's so much we should be doing with our resources. We must make Washington first. That is how I will govern as your next governor of Washington State. So Grace and I probably went a little bit further into that, but I want to share it. And I'm going to scroll down and see if there's any more questions. Someone said, tired of the progressive blue state on the coast. I pray you have the money you need to fight the elites. Do you have it? And so this comes from Deborah. Deborah, what I would say is this. We have a great team. We have what we need to win. And our 50-meter target is the primary election, August 6th. So we're going into the primary. We have the resources that we need. Again, we're going to have more between now and August 6th. But ask yourself this. How is it that we got 72% supermajority, the largest delegation of any delegation, Democrat, Republican, the largest delegation in the history of Washington State? Certainly the Republican Party. We had over 2,000 people there. We had over 1,839 delegates. And I say over. The reason I say over is because there were some delegates that weren't allowed to be delegates because they were disqualified for whatever reason. But nonetheless, we won a 72% supermajority. We didn't have the largest amount of money. The other gentleman had significantly much more money than we did. Had all these politicians. You know, the majority of Olympia is behind him. The majority of all the state politicians are behind him. And the big dollar donors are behind him. And they can play dirty politics, and they're still not winning in Washington State, which is probably why they're playing dirty politics. But we will not reciprocate. So we have the resources we need. Why? Because we have an amazing campaign team who is giving of their heart and of their time. We have so many of you out there that are working overtime, double time, triple time, sign waving, spreading the word, putting up signs. I mean, it's so much. This is a we the people movement, and it's not just Republicans. I will say again, someone tried to criticize this, but you can't. My leader in the Central District of Seattle, of King County, former Democrat PCO, and the other gentleman's supporters were like, oh yeah, he's got Democrats working for him. And the other gentleman who's supporting us, a Muslim imam, who I'm proud to have these men support us. Why? Because it's not about politics. It's about people. It's about that imam who said, I must protect my children. So much so, as I told you in our last podcast, he sent his 2 children back to Somalia, a war-torn country. And my brother Kevin, who's fighting for us in the CD. And so we have so many people. I mean, I could say it. And I don't want to expose people by putting their names out there, but Pastor P, you're an angel, and I appreciate you so much. And my other friends, I mean, so many pastors are with us. And so we have the resources, and don't be fooled by the money, you guys. There are too many examples of people who have won significant elections with very little money because it is the people who rallied behind them and got involved and got engaged. Someone said, can we get back can we get back to tax being repealed? And so this is from Kevin. And Kevin, I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. But if you're talking about tax relief, the answer is 100% yes, if that's what you're asking. Because we are being overtaxed and underrepresented, just like in 1776. I'm not asking for anybody to start throwing a bunch of tea in Puget Sound or Lake Washington or wherever else you're at. But what I am saying is self-governance now is the time to stand up and start getting engaged in this primary election. If you have a veteran, son, husband, daughter, wife, if you have a veteran in your family that you know is deployed and they receive their ballot, because the ballots are out for our veterans now who are serving overseas, please reach out to them and have them look us up, have them research us, and then try to advocate for us. I would love to earn their vote because they're going to be sending their ballots in. If you have a son or daughter, granddaughter, grandson, a relative who was 17 but before the general election will be 18, they can vote in the primary election. Someone can check me on that. But we should be talking to those young people and helping them to understand the choices that are before them. This is why we do podcasts. This is why they're recorded. So there's so much we can do. Tax relief? Darn right. That's why we're calling for that third-party audit of all state programs, of all state offices. I am almost done writing my economic development plan, my solutions with actions. And we're talking about, well, we support that initiative, repealing the CARES Act. That has to go, and that's going to be in the November ballot. Capital gains tax, repealing that. That's going to be in the November ballot, right? We have 2066. We cannot lose our natural gas. It's clean burning, and we need that alternative energy. It's a good form of energy. So that initiative is on the ballot. And the Climate Commitment Act, oh my goodness, and climate change, that act needs to go. 50 cents more per gallon for gas, 63 cents more per gallon for diesel, and our farmers, our growers, our ranchers, our truckers are being hammered with those exorbitant fuel diesel prices primarily. And they were supposed to be exempt. But again, mismanagement of government. Because we keep putting career politicians in there and not career Americans with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to bring about the change that we need for our state. This family medical leave, that's just another way to take money away from employees and employers. Let's let our citizens make up their own mind about how they want to spend their money, whether it's their long-term care or their emergency leave. We should be talking about lowering taxes, especially for our small business owners, especially for our citizens, and never raising property taxes 1 cent ever again in this state. There's so much we should be doing, but we get this audit done, tax relief is coming. That money should be coming back to you. And so I've already said it. I will not approve any law that will result in a tax increase in Washington state for my first term in office. I can almost guarantee it for my second term because, again, I'm a term limit guy, and that's just how I roll. And then it's retirement permanently. So looking for questions over here. I'm scrolling fast, you guys. Simi Bird, have you engaged? Oh, my goodness. So I'm not even going to read that because that was just a disgusting thing. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I can't believe that person asked that. Okay. Usually I would read everything. You guys don't want to see that. Gosh, it's like you want to say, is that person's parents aware of what he does? Okay. Let's see here. We got, oh gosh, my friend was just talking about, they're going to go make a dump run. Okay. Let's see here. I'm looking for questions. Here we go. I think we've already talked about that. Let's see here. It seems like the same person is actually asking numerous questions, and I think that's good. He's engaged. You call it self-governance. But he did ask a pretty disgusting question a minute ago, but we're going to ignore that. Let's keep going down here. Okay, here we go. Lynette asks, can you or Republican Party demand a debate between you and Dave? So, Lynette, I wish we could debate. Again, a civil debate between two candidates for the same party, it makes sense, where we can talk about our policy. The closest thing we've had is the Seattle Times editorial board interview. And so what my team did was we took the questions and how Dave and I both answered the questions, and so that you can have a comparison and a contrast, how Dave answered a question in this, how I answered a question in this, so you guys can just see, just to gauge, and to do it in an unbiased way, a fair way, just because that's about as close as we can get. So Dave, as I've said many times, has refused to debate us, and that's his choice. His team and others feel that we are non-viable, and so I refer them to the convention, in which, again, 72% supermajority, which the people deem us to be very viable. And so this is somewhat humorous at times, but also sad. So, Lynette, I wish we could. We'll do our best. I'm always willing. Let's see here. Simeon, 1996, the mainstream media ignored and attacked Ross Perot. 20%, 2%. Okay, got it. I'm looking for how can we overcome the media's bias against populism. This is from Happy. Wow. And Homestead. Okay. So Happy, what I will say is this. The media will be the media, whether they call themselves conservative or liberal or whatever. The media will always do what the media does. And it's about the story. It's not about, to me, and respectfully to the media, it's not about bringing the news like we used to in the old days. I know I'm going to date myself. Walter Cronkite and others, where they would report the news. Now it's sensationalism. Now it's, hey, let's talk about the dirt. And just recently, I did like 6 interviews the other day, and they wanted to talk about the dirt and this scandal and what's going on. And I'm happy to entertain, because I'm not going to walk away from that, an opportunity to bring truth and to speak truth and to stand strong. But it's more about sensationalism than sharing truth and sharing information that creates value for their listeners. And so they're going to be them. But that's why we have to be smarter than that. We have to do our own research. We have to ask those questions. And that's why I'm doing this. So you guys can ask me questions and then learn. Is this the guy that I want to support? Is this the guy that I want to vote for? And that's why we do this. What is your response when people report that you only have 4% in they say the garbage polls? And Jonathan, I would say that's just what it is. The Progressive Institute just did a poll, and in their poll, I'm at 11%, almost tripling Mark Mullet. But in this RMG poll, or Bob Ferguson's poll, I'm at 4 and Mark's at 5. Or think about 2016. How did the presidential candidates fare in those polls? You had Hillary Clinton that was just wiping the floor with Donald Trump. And I don't think she got elected. I'm being sarcastic. Of course, she did not. And thank goodness. So, no, polls that are bought and paid for, just that. And then look at the sample size. You have a poll of 403. You have 39 counties. And so I'm allergic to math, but I think if you divide 39 into 403, it's about 14.88 or something like that. I don't know. Someone's doing the math. You guys figure that out and let me know. But before I break out in the hives, I don't do math. But 14.88 or 15, if you round up, 15 citizens per county, that doesn't really make for a real comprehensive representation of the people of King County, or even Pend Oreille County for that much. And so that is my response to that. Polls are based on their sampling group and who's doing the poll. And you can pay for polls, which is what the other gentleman's campaign has done. He did one, 30 grand. One of his big money donor pack people who has taken a hobby in attacking me, they did a poll. Again, you can buy a poll. So anybody can get a poll. I choose to use our money and signs. So, and we're doing our advertising. So there's my answer. The polls, I don't pay any attention, because again, the polls were showing us being crushed in nothing before we won the convention. How did that happen? I didn't do martini tourism vacation, all you can eat bus tours from King County to Spokane County. That didn't happen. citizens self-governed, and they showed up, and they made sure that their voice wasn't stolen and that their will was done, plain and simple. So polls, take them or leave them. I'm going to leave them. I'm partial to straw polls because they're representative of the people who participate, and at least it gives you a bigger sampling group and consistency. And man, I'm polled out, but I see straw poll after straw poll after straw poll, and we win each and every time. And you have to think about going into the primary election, you have to have your base. And if your base is the Republican Party, and it's not just the Republican Party for our campaign, I can tell you, we have a lot of conservative Democrats and independents who are going to be voting for us. I know that to be a fact. People who never have voted for a Republican or a conservative ever, and who never would, but they see something in our message and maybe a little bit in the messenger, they're voting for us. And so that's not being polled. So keep those things in mind as we look forward. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. And I'm not, denying reality. I like being objective because it helps me make better decisions, but I take them with a grain of salt. And so I'm looking for questions. And don't forget, you guys, if you ask something and you don't put a question mark on there, I won't know. And put a question mark at the beginning and maybe even around it so I can see. Here's one. Katie, if elected governor, would you be open to following TN's, I think Tennessee's lead? Oh yeah, it is Tennessee's lead on outlawing chemtrails. And so, Katie, I would look into it. I've said this before. We're going to actually do our own sampling and testing, and I know how to do that. I mean, I've worked with industrial hygienists for a long time, so we'll do that. And I wasn't aware that this went into law in Tennessee, and so you may have to educate me on this, but I've been watching. I know what has been proposed in Tennessee. I know Mexico did it, and so I'm looking and I'm watching. But yes is the answer to your question, to be direct. Let's see. We'll stop CCP from purchasing land in Washington. Deborah, yes. I've said that also. I do not believe that the Chinese Communist Party should own land in Washington State, and I will bring legislation to make sure they cannot, by law, and make it retroactive, which will give them enough time to liquidate their land assets in Washington State before they are surrendered. That is a compromise of our not only our national security, but also our economic security. Here's another one, and then I'm going to move over here because I like it. I'm actually seeing some good questions. I'm going to do two more. Let's see here. So we've got Deborah's asking a lot too, and so Deborah, and I appreciate that. Keep asking and stay engaged. You deserve that because you're here. My dear friend Brock, question: should we vote early or vote late? Brock, I'm a fan. I know people are going to say no, vote late, last minute. No, vote early. Make sure that your ballot has been received and that it's marked received. Okay, so do that. And I know people will say, well, no, because now they're going to manipulate the machines. Please don't do that. Cross-check. We've got cross-check. So this is a tool that we're using now that you can go online and cross-check. So we're going to put that. It should be on our website now. If it's not, it'll be there within the next few days. Where you can go under cross-check, you can register, you can choose your candidate. And so that gives us a validation tool between what cross-check shows after the election results are in and then what the state results show. And that gives us a legal challenge should we need it. I don't think we're going to need it because I think this is going to be a repeat of 2020, except with much better results in the general. We're going to win the primary election. That's the way it's looking to me right now, looking to our team right now. So I would say vote early. Make sure your ballot was received. Deborah says, would you sign a law stating only two genders as Governor Sanders just did? I think you're talking about Sarah Huckabee in Arkansas. And so, I'll look at the law as it comes to my desk, but science tells us XX and XY. and I don't equivocate on that. So we should not have to have a law on this. I get it with what Sarah's doing, and boy, someone asked me the other day, who is your favorite governor? And it was an interview, and I should have mentioned her. So far, so good. I'm just really impressed with the things she's doing. School choice. She already took a stand against China buying up land in Arkansas. And so I'm a fan. When I say that, meaning I'm impressed with her leadership. This is the first time. She had no elected experience as far as I knew in the past, if you look at her history. But look at what she's accomplishing. And if I'm wrong on that, let me know. I'm just unaware of Sarah Huckabee Sanders having prior elected experience. But you have to look at what she's getting done. I mean, they've got school choice. Now they have this law to protect their state's natural resources. I mean, so they're on fire. They're on fire over there, and that's because they have good leadership. And just wait until we get in office. Oh, this brother is going to work. I assure you. And so if someone says, "God, they're going to come after you." I'm like, I'll be too busy, really. I'll be too busy working. So let people come after me, because the beauty is when you're working for the people, it doesn't matter what the naysayers and look what's happening with this whole military thing. And you look at what people are saying. It's like you show them this. You show them, here's proof of the Bronze Star of Valor, Purple Heart. It's just proof. And then they switch to this. And you give them proof of this, and then they switch to this. You have to understand that mean people are going to say mean things. And as I said to you earlier, pray for them, hope for the best for them, hope that they find light in their heart, because that's why I ask all of you who support me, don't do this to Dave Reichert or Mark or Bob. Don't be mean to people. It doesn't reflect who I am. You'll never hear me say or call Dave Reichert a name. Number one, I'm a 63-year-old man. Number two, my mother raised me very well, and I know right from wrong. At least I've tried. I've made mistakes. Y'all know that. But it doesn't make sense to call people names. It just, I wouldn't. Anyway, Kent, would you be in favor of free school lunches for all public schools in Washington? So we have a law, and I don't necessarily support that, Kent, and I'll tell you why. I am 100% supportive of free lunches for children whose families are in need, who cannot afford them, 100%, and with no shame. We're not going to hang a big thing around their neck that says, I'm the free lunch child of my school in the No. So that no child gets picked on, but a child cannot learn well when their bellies are empty. So I support that. But again, you're wasting millions and millions of dollars giving free lunches to families who have the money to feed their children who do not need it. So we need to stop wasting money. We need to start being fiscally responsible, which is something we are bringing to our government in January 2025 once we get elected. The nonsense of overspending, reckless spending with no accountability, and of course no transparency, that ends. I mean, we are going to be fiscally tight. And I'm not saying like so tight on a budget where we can't get things done. We're going to get great things done because we're going to stop burning money on bogus programs that don't work or do not deliver value to our citizens. Why pay for free meals for children whose parents can afford to buy half the school free meals? That makes no sense. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I am answering your question. Mitch, if elected governor, what would you do about the current laws in place that infringe upon our Second Amendment rights, in particular the recent ban on so-called assault weapons? Mitch, I'm very, very loud in this. Article 1, Section 24 of the Washington State Constitution. This is a violation of not only our Second Amendment. Article 1, Section 24 gives us more protection than the Second Amendment does, the right to keep and bear arms. So, no, yes, I do support repealing the assault weapons ban. Just the name and how it was written, it's a generic excuse to take away all Second Amendment rights. And the way they've gone after FFLs, those who distribute in firearms, they're targeting them. and they have been for several years now. And this last session, they were imposing all kinds of craziness, talking about putting tax on ammunition, camera systems, and all these things. They're trying to just kind of like carbon emissions. They're trying to just get rid of it all. And so they're going to penalize the citizen to support their ideological agenda based on their financial support from those special interest groups. So no, we will enforce the constitutional rights of our citizens. From the very beginning, I've said that. That's why I talk about the Constitution over and over and over again. And you may not like this, some of you guys, because there's things that I don't agree upon that guarantees people their constitutional rights to have. So it's a double-edged sword, but it is our Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. It is the supreme law of the land. And under Article 3 of the Washington State Constitution, I am abide and I must enforce the laws as written until we the people change them. So the Constitution is the Constitution. And that, in this case, no, we're getting our Second Amendment rights back. So there's that. Takako, and I love your name. What is your stance on free health care that is being given to illegals? With our rising health care costs, many of our own people cannot afford to get the coverage. Do you have any ideas of how to make it affordable for our citizens? And so I don't support it. Again, I don't support the economic and public safety compromise of illegal immigration. And again, I would never say that just because you come from a country you're predisposed to commit a crime. That's wrong to say, and I would never say that. But in this case, what you're asking is healthcare. AppleCare is the state free healthcare. There's a time and a place to bring support. Single mom, again, my situation with children, trying to work their way up. I am all for that until they can work their way clear, and then they're on their own. Right? Teach them how to fish, give them that certification, give them that trade, get them out of poverty. They're on their own, and you never want to go back. Trust me on that. And so there's a time and a place for that. And so we don't abuse it by giving it away to people who should not even be in our state because they're here illegally. All the while we have citizens and veterans who are suffering who need that support. We don't even have the infrastructure for mental health or for drug treatment. There's a lot of resources that we need for our own citizens. And again, it's common sense. So not a lack of compassion, not me against people who come from other countries, because all of us have heritage to there, and some of us are second generation. No, we're doing the right thing. So, Takako, I hope I answered your question. Ensuring competition between healthcare companies across borders, lowering regulations, that will lower the cost. There's too much red tape. There's too many regulations on the privatized healthcare competition, all to go to what we call socialized medicine. I'm not for that. So I'm for bringing that competition so it lowers the price and letting people come in from all over to bring healthcare opportunities for us. I want the same thing with L&I. I want to consider privatizing that and going co-op. I'm just putting that out there as an option because I've seen it work in different places. And so, Dennis, will you reverse capital gains tax? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they got it passed, and first the Superior Court judge says, no, it's an income tax. It's unlawful. It's Constitution. Supreme Court let it fly, and then it became law. Now it's on the ballot, as I said, as an initiative, thank goodness, and hopefully it gets repealed in November. But if it doesn't, it's going to be top of my list. We're bringing it back. So, no, I don't support the capital gains tax. I think it restricts citizens from advancing financially, from creating generational wealth. I'm also against death taxes. No, we're overtaxed. It's crazy. We're paying too much as it is. What else? Dennis, we did that one. Sharon, with Inslee's passage of E2S HB 1181. So I'm going to go with House Bill 1181. I can speak a little bit to that. He's allocated grants of $100,000 per town in Washington. That is true. It is part of the climate change element policy. Do you feel there's any benefit to Washington citizens with these new policies, and would you continue them? Sharon, I do not support House Bill 1181. And for all of you who are listening, oh my goodness, where do I start? Boy, okay. It started off with it's basically, they call it resiliency of the climate of the climate change. Climate change resiliency is what they're saying, and it ties all the counties that fall under the Growth Management Act. And it started off with 11 counties, the largest counties. And so I believe if you're below a population of 6,000, again, give me some grace on this one. If you're below a population of 6,000, then they're not going to come after you yet. They started with 11 counties, and it's Spokane, it's Clark County, it's King, it's Pierce, it's Snow, Benton, and Franklin's next. And what they're doing is per year is where they're going with this. There's parts of this, Sharon, that sound appealing in terms of environmental protections, green spaces and such, but then you get into what they call environmental justice initiatives and all this, and that results in costing us more money. And so right now we have a problem with development. We have a problem with growing and segmenting certain parcels of land for housing, and then deregulating so we can facilitate building more houses and more apartments affordably. Again, we can talk about the energy codes, which are crazy, also tied to climate change ideology. And so while we and I 100% support preservation of our waterways, our lands, our environment, green spaces 100%, they even talk about Firewise in this, and Department of Commerce is regulating a lot of this because it refers in this 1181 to the Department of Commerce plan. We have right now going on out of control, I don't say out of control, forest fires. They're being managed now because we have great people on the ground. But do you know how much carbon emissions we have because we're not properly managing our forest? We should be cutting. We should be bringing back the logging industry. And we should be managing our forest, cutting the low growth. We should have those who are in corrections facilities, earn their way, make some money to prepare so when they get released, they have a little walking around change, and maybe work off some of their term by working and repaying, by contributing to going out and clearing low growth and helping manage our forest. I'm just throwing out a solution out there, right? We have Sue Killen Peterson, who's running for lands commissioner, and I highly support her. And she is a brilliant biologist. She'll make a huge difference. I'm keeping an eye on time. I know I'm getting close, you guys. Bear with me. So, no, I don't support HB 1181. And if I'm anywhere off on some of that, which I shouldn't be, because the whole climate change thing is destructive to our state. But we must always preserve our environment. If you become governor, will you stop support funding for illegal immigrants? Yes, I've said that. I already said we're going to declare we won't be a sanctuary state. Funding county and cities that claim they're state now. Again, counties and cities can do what they want because I'm a self-governance person. So we have layer cake, marble cake, and marble cake. These are principles of self-governance, making my mentor proud. I'm hoping, where marble cake, you confuse the right of the state and the governor getting mixed up and putting their paws into county and municipal business. County and municipal business belongs to the people, just like the state does, but stay in your lane. That's that layers. Stay. We don't cross over, right? We don't overstep. But for the state, no. I've said that. I will not support it. We'll cooperate with ICE. We're gonna pull back on that. I'm gonna do a few more questions over here, see what's going on. I see my friend Dawn's in the house. Gina's in the house. Dear friends, you guys, thank you so much. I'm looking to make sure. See if I can get some questions in, you guys. I'm going to try to. It's usually me because I'm long-winded, as you guys know. But this is policy stuff, right? So, again, and the only reason I can't go too long because I have a meeting that I have to go to. So I'm actually chairing my county party meeting that's tonight, and so I can't be late for that. Have you noticed that Ferguson only acknowledges Reichert and not Byrd? The fix is in. And so I like this semi-country living, and maybe it's semi-country living. I'm sure That's probably exactly what it is. It's semi-country living. I'm just like making it semi-country living because I just like the way it sounds. But no, and so it's the media does it too, and then the polls that were put out. If it's just between Reichert and Ferguson, and guys, we are all brainwashed to a certain point. Remember, we got brainwashed to voting party line, right? I mean, that was another one. Well, only vote Republican. Well, I have only voted Republican. I have to admit, and I cannot imagine voting otherwise. Anything could happen. You never know. But the way I'm seeing the Democrat Party go, I couldn't imagine it. But my point being is the brainwashing. When the polls say this, well, come on now. Or you have to have this much money, or you have to have name brand recognition. Someone of the people, by the people, for the people can't get it done. It's got to be someone that the rich and the powerful and the political and has all the money. Those are the people who win. Except they never told it to us like that, right? But that was the reality of it. So no, we don't buy into that. They're going to do the same thing. The media does the same thing. They always refer to the poll. I remember being interviewed by this big establishment media group, and I don't want that to sound snarky, but it did, and maybe I meant it subconsciously. I don't know, but they tried to quote a poll, and I took them to task because I did complete doctoral research methodology course, right? And I think I got an A. So it's sample size. It's how you do the research. It's who you sample, not just the size. It's who you sample. If you sample purple, you're going to get purple responses. You sample blue, you're going to get blue, responses. You sample America First, you're going to get America First responses, except no one samples America First. Am I right or am I wrong? Who's out there? Right? You don't get that. And the only reason you're getting Trump and Biden is because they're the only two really that has risen up there, especially on the Republican side. President Trump is the presumptive nominee. He's the only person running. And so for the Republican side, so they have no choice but to put. But you saw what happened back in the day, what the media came after him. And so, no, this is much the same. What we're seeing in the reindeer games being played with me or our campaign, it's the media. The media keeps saying Reichert Ferguson. Well, that's the game that they play. They're putting that out there that way. And then when they do their calls, you could say, well, I'm voting for Byrd. Well, no. Some of you have told us that, and some of you actually know that to be true. So don't think about it as the fix is in. We just know the reindeer games that they play, so we do something better. We tell everyone we know. We tell young people who are 17 that are going to be 18 before the general election that they can vote in the primary. We tell anybody who we know who's a veteran serving abroad, who's a resident of Washington State, hey, make sure you tell your son or your husband or your wife or your daughter, hey, vote for Byrd for governor. This is how we do it. It's we the people. We run this thing that we call a constitutional republic. We run the state. And at Juneteenth, my friends out there, I'm going to give a plug to Seattle Media, Seattle Music. What a great organization. Those brothers were amazing. I mean, it's just, my friends, if you could see what I'm seeing, if you could just engage with the people I'm engaging, you would be so happy and your heart would be at peace just to know real people. Don't look at color. Well, no, look at color. Right? Look at what I mean by this is simply this. Black American, white American, Asian American, we look at us for who we are. Right? Look at us for who we are. That is the beauty of America. We're a diverse nation with diverse cultures. We have diverse religions. That is the beauty of America. And I said this a million times. E pluribus unum, out of the many one. Many cultures, many races, many religions, but one America. Right? That is what it is really about. And that America First concept that we put our people over politics. We put our Constitution over politics. Could you imagine that? And these beautiful folks, again, you'd be surprised. They want the same thing that you want. You want the same thing that they want. It's just that in certain cases, you don't always hear it because you live in this community and they live in that community. You would be shocked how many people in this state are conservative. I'm telling you, you all know I'm everywhere. You know that. You've seen that. I'm everywhere. Well, we're actually campaigning. We're out there earning it. We're just not sitting down with big donor groups who can pay us. And maybe some of you will go, well, that's the problem. No, it's not the problem. It is the people. It's the vote, right? It is the vote that matters. It's the people that matter. The money comes. And wait until we win the primary. You already know what's going to happen. It's going to roll in. It will roll in because, again, it's going to be Bob Ferguson and Semi Bird. And then the media will have to say Bob Ferguson and Semi Bird, just like they have to with Biden and Trump, because there is no one else. And there will be a clear choice. And Bob Ferguson, to me, will be easy peasy. I'm not cocky. It's just, have you seen what he's done to the state? Don't be afraid of the man. Stop that nonsense. He's not the boogeyman. He's human. He just has bad ideas. And every 5 seconds, he wants to talk about women's productive rights because he has no policy. He has no solutions. And he is all about giving away the farm, literally, and nothing about doing anything to enforce the law, to bring economic reform. And you cannot do that by saying, well, here's an equity move. Let's just lower the standard and raise the tax. No. How about we raise the tax, right? Or raise the standard and lower the tax? How about we raise the focus on academic excellence in our school systems and lower the amount of indoctrination and politics and ideology that's being put in our schools? Leave that nonsense out. Focus on teaching a child English, language arts, mathematics, science, reading. Right? That's what we should be focusing on, not politics. Whether Republican, Democrat, no politics, none of that ideological nonsense. Focus on academic excellence. Bring some trades in there, some mentorship programs in there. That's what we should be doing. Let's see here. Let me see. I need to, let's see here. I'm trying to understand this. Grayson, I'd like to meet you in person. You have some lively questions. Let's see what we have here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I'm about to wrap up. You guys, would you shut down businesses like? No, Jeff, good person. Jeff, thank you very much, and thank you for your support. No, so Jeff's basically asking, I'm going to say, and I say my other favorite, Jeff, my man, Pastor Jeff. No, mandates, the vaccinations, no, that's unconstitutional. A mandate is not a law. I don't hesitate on that. And you have the other candidates, right? Even Dave Reichert, with, again, respect to the other gentleman running as a Republican, who wrote in the Seattle Times his support for the mandates. No, I did not support them because they were unconstitutional. They were an infringement on the constitutional rights of citizens. They resulted in the loss of lives of adults and children, lost livelihoods, businesses devastated, economic despair, addiction and mental illness went through the roof, homelessness went through the roof. I mean, you saw what happened. Lost learning for our children. We have a generation that has been damaged, and I hope not irrevocably. So no, Jeff V. I may have answered that passionately, and then where Mark and Bob are on this, and I like Mark. A lot of people do because he's a businessman, and I think he's a good man. That's my personal statement on that, and I'm not going to apologize for that either. And I'll talk about Ilona Kearney, another beautiful woman who's running for governor as well, and I won't apologize for that. Good people, and so no, the other people may not agree with me on that, but I am the person who stood for our children to protect them from masking. And our team was ready when that health board was talking about mandatory vaccination of our children. That's a no-go from the get-go. Pastor Jeff, my dear friend and brother, since the endorsement of the convention, it's early now. Will you work with the Washington GOP to help create a plan for 100%? And so, to help get candidate support during the primary election. Jeff, 100%. And so I have voiced my concern with the Washington GOP and with the chairman. He's a brilliant man. I won't deny that. I am a Republican running as a Republican. in every sense of the word. I'm a constitutional Christian conservative, and again, I don't apologize for that. People can call me ultra right or whatever, extremist, mega, MAGA, misdemeanor, whatever you want to call me. But working together, that's what we should have been doing from the very beginning. Working together, not Republicans attacking Republicans. This is nonsense. Can you guys not understand this is destructive? They're not helping Dave Reichert by attacking my honor, attacking my family, attacking my heritage. You're not helping your candidate at all. At all. What you're doing is, and I'm not going to talk about splitting votes. That gets sorted out in the primary election. Go vote and let his will be done. But go vote. But will I work with the GOP? 100%. That was the whole plan. That was what was written in the rules. That's why I signed a pledge that says if Dave Reichert had shown up and made his argument, and he was the nominee endorsed candidate, then I would have stepped out of the race. Not stepped aside, but stepped out of the race, endorsed him, and supported him. But he didn't. I did. And 72% supermajority, he was still on the ballot. Because up until the vote, people thought he was still going to be there. People thought he was still going to show up. His delegates were still there. We won 72%. And so the arrangement was all the state party resources would go towards that endorsed candidate. So, Jeff, I'm ready to roll. I'm ready. I support that rule. So let's stop trying to take out the endorsed candidate, and let's start supporting the endorsed candidate. I think that's a good start towards working together. Let's stop turning a blind eye to attacks. And you want to talk about things that deeply concern you. I'll tell you what deeply concerns me is the fact that we turned a blind eye to these things and then open it up to more things. So, no, I'm all in. My heart, you know my heart, Jeff. You know my heart. It's forgive, love, move forward. And again, that gentleman who leads our party is a brilliant man, and I don't think anybody can say otherwise. And I would not say otherwise. Let's see. Is there a correlation between Chinese farms? And heavy pesticides. So, Jonathan, this is an interesting question. And so, boy, this is a deep one. So I'm watching time. I know I'm over, you guys. I know I got to wrap. So I want to say this. The ecology, and not just Chinese. I know I'm probably deviating from what you're asking, but ecology has overstepped their role when it comes to our ranchers, our growers, our farmers. Pesticides and management of growth operations is being inhibited by the Department of Ecology. And so when you wrote this, it just kind of triggered that thought. But in terms of Chinese farms and heavy pesticides, I'll take a look at that, because what I said, Jonathan, is there should be no Chinese farms in Washington State if we're talking about Chinese Communist Party, because that's usually when you refer to this. And if it's a Chinese corporation, there's a very good chance it's ran by the Chinese Communist Party. So I'll look for more information, Jonathan. You can always email me, and as everyone knows, I'll check it out. Yeah, Smile, 100% cross-check. We talked about it. It should be up on our website very soon if it's not already there. We want to ensure people are going to cross-check, that they're signing up to choose their candidate for political office. There's other candidates that have registered with cross-check. It's a validation tool which gives voter confidence, so that you know that when you're voting using the traditional way until we change that, now we have a way to check and to validate, right, to capture your vote really, and then have a legal tool mechanism that should we have to take this down to the wire and hold people accountable, cross-check will help us do that. And so big fan of, we're fully into it. And let's see here. Let's see, looking. Okay, guys, we're about to wrap. I think I'm getting towards the end. I'm looking. Thank you guys for your kindness. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everybody. No, my honor to serve. Jonathan, thank you for that acknowledgement. It is my honor, you guys. And we're going to continue. There's more on that. I've told you guys. And we're going to continue to be positive. Let's see here. And this is from Randy. Have you looked at the candidate for Pierce County Sheriff? I have. And my candidate is Keith Swank. So that's who I support. He's a good man, a lot of experience, integrity, former Ranger, former King County Police Captain, SWAT. Keith's a good man, and I support him. And I don't think there's a better candidate out there. And if I'm wrong, I don't think I am. I should even said that. Keith, I got you. You're my guy. So let's see here. There's a willingness. I was just trying to think of a way to say there's no other candidate out there. But let's see. In what way are you willing to support freedom of speech when there's so much digital censorship? And so that is worth it. That's a good discussion. And this is I'm disgruntled employee, I think is what it is. No, that is something that we need to look at. And it's not just digital, but I think we're saying the same thing. Media, free speech is important. Our First Amendment, I think we're talking about Section 4, Article 1, Section 4. And again, 4 or 5, I should be close to you guys. Yeah, we have to support it. I do support it. I'm cautious about over-regulating, because over-regulating could suppress. And so, but there's a balance. There's a balance there. And right now, it's mostly social media, I think you're talking about. Yeah. And then Gina, defund CRT, SEL, social emotional learning, and DEI. 100%. I've spoke out about this for years, actually. So nope. I'm with you on that. I'm trying to think what else. Glenn, love you too, brother. Yeah. What else we got going? Julie, thanks. Good seeing you. Thank you very much. Family's doing good. Yeah, and let me just say this: there was that Ferguson brought forward, and he did his press conference on his Tattletale hotline, and it's the hate crime and bias hotline. I want you guys to understand how dangerous this is. I mean, he's the same guy with House Bill 1333, violent extremism commissions, and he wrote a lot of the background in this. This is a mindset that is unconstitutional at its worst, if that makes any sense. We all have biases. I mean, right now, I told someone I have not felt this kind of separate but equal since I was a child, and they say, oh, he's playing the race card, semi-birds. I could sit there and straight up say, clearly you have an unconscious issue going on that a black man cannot talk about how he feels being born without civil rights and raised right at the transition at that time. I'm an American citizen. I can talk about anything I want to as long as it does not infringe on the constitutional rights of anybody else. Welcome to America. Welcome to constitutionality. And so could I consider that bias? Could I consider it bias how someone has the gall to attack my honor and my family and some bogus stolen valor claim, and then to kind of sort of drive that down with stolen documents? I can bring all kinds of bias. I could be dialing till my fingers get numb, but it's wrong. It's wrong. Bias, that's too subjective. Hate crime and bias. We stand against hate. But I want you to think about that. What is hate? What is hate? And look at some of the nasty stuff so-called Republicans spew out of their mugs. What is hate? So y'all can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You want to call out Democrats and call them names, those progressives, those communist progressive Democrats. And then you're over here calling all kinds of dirty names to people, talking about race card and this and this, and forgetting that this is the party of abolition, the party that ended slavery, the party of women's rights and civil rights. How many people forgot that? Which is why America First coming back, as I say, we put all Americans first. We put the Constitution first. We put Washington first. Our citizens first. That's what we're talking about. I won't apologize for that, but you cannot have it both ways. We will have it one way, the constitutional way, the American way. That's my way. So this hate, no, it's a dangerous thing, you guys. It's a dangerous thing. So I caution you. I wave you off of that. And can you imagine Bob Ferguson debating me? How much fun will that be? We're going to have debate night tonight, and some of you guys probably, I've got to go chair a meeting. and I'm good thing I have an amazing team, and I won't be late. I have time. I just got to sign some stuff, I'm sure. But I love being with you guys tonight. I really feel good, and I want you to know, all of you, Jim and Janice, and so many of you out there who have given so much. My amazing team, my Spokane team, all of you have given me so much love. Just those of you behind the scenes that are doing great things that I just don't want to call your names out. I'm feeling great, and this because of you. And then again, I give it up to my Lord. I'm blessed. I feel that love again. I have that anger has dispelled, and it was only because it was so low. It was just so low, so dirty, and it touched my family, and I'm protective of my family. This man, this so-called media person, made my wife cry. And if you guys knew me, I am a man's man. You don't know. And so it was too low. We are a nation that honors our veterans, that loves our veterans. And anybody who would sit there and rip apart a person's service record, we don't do that. I mean, you want to have a conversation, You want docs. I mean, I'll give them out to you, just like I did to the Washington State Republican Party. They could have asked me. They could have just asked me. I would have given them everything. I mean, in an explanation. But it really wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter. There's more to this. And maybe you'll see it. Maybe you don't want to see it. I'm all for keeping the peace and keeping secrets to protect the innocent, I guess. But there's a lot of people out there who don't want any more secrets. We want it out there. We want to know what we're dealing with. We want transparency. And we want our constitutional republic back. And we're not going to get that by keeping secrets and bending and giving in and compromising our values. We're not going to get that back unless we stand our ground and acknowledge who we are and what we stand for, and we're willing to fight for what we love. Vanessa, will you please get some billboards up since your big signs are being removed? There we go. Vanessa, please help. Let's get some more money because those big billboards are expensive. And so, yeah, we got you. We got you. Starlink. Okay. We're giving a plug there, Tracy. Yeah, no, I put that one in my buildings. Thank you, Ted, my brother, Ted. Ted Flags, I have to. I don't like to call people out like that. But, oh, my God, I can talk about Ted. And Glenn and Gina, look at all you coming up. And Dawn and so many of you guys. I see, this is where I go wrong. And Jeff's and Rob and my Dash family and MJ, all of you guys. I love you guys. I love all of you. I'm going to be quiet now. I'm going to go. But I'm going to put up my little thing. And I'm going to ask you guys, we're getting more and more donations. I had a dear friend from Yakima call me today. He's going to do a big fundraiser for us in Yakima. He's been blessed himself, his family, his company, a tradition, just a great company and a great man, a friend. But we have so many people that are stepping up. Again, strategic with the money and how things are coming, and right time, right place. But have faith, you guys. Have faith. This is what I've said. This is a revival of faith and a revival of patriotism. That's what our campaign is representing. We the people coming together, standing together to self-govern, to protect and to preserve our Constitution and our constitutional republic. There is no greater honor than to serve, and whether you serve with a uniform, and God bless our men and women in uniform, our military veterans, our law enforcement officers, but we the people serving self-governance, getting out there, getting engaged, sign waving. Go to birdforgovernor.com, birdforgovernor.com. Donate, give what you can. Every penny counts, but also volunteer. Sign wave. We have sign waving events, and they're picking up pace. We're going to start our door knocking. I mean, we've already actually started our door knocking. We need those volunteers. So if you're willing to fight, I'm telling you, we'll make it happen financially. We'll bring it all together. And come this November, we're going to give Olympia the bird. So God bless you guys. Have an amazing evening. I know I will, and we'll see you next week. 4th of July, our day of independence, where those patriots had the intestinal fortitude and personal courage to say, no more, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We declared our independence. This is a 1776 moment right now. Will you answer the call? I know I am. My family is. We'll see you next week.